Good afternoon. Thank you very much. So in early 2018, when I was readying myself to move here from Atlanta, if anyone would have told me that I would be speaking to all of you today in this sacred space, I would have had one word for them: nuts. But I want to spend just a few minutes of your time to tell you how I got here and why the Cathedral Parish is so important to me. And as we've heard so often from the Dean and others here, the pandemic and its consequences allowed so many folks through online worship to rekindle their spirituality and their faith. For me, actually, that wasn't the case. I had been a practicing Christian before the pandemic hit, but I had grown disillusioned with the faith tradition that my parents had handed on to me. I wasn't happy with where the American church was headed. And so the online worship experience for me afforded me the opportunity in midlife to reset my Christian journey. You see, I was searching for a home that would offer a place where all people were welcome, a house of prayer for all people. And also that was a place where both the liturgy of the Word and that of the Eucharist were revered and celebrated with vigor. Once I started watching the services here online, I began tuning in every week and becoming more interested. I first distinctly recalled in the late Easter season of 2020 the beautiful origami that was suspended from the ceiling here. In following each service, as I began to listen intently every week, I was moved by the liturgy of the Word and the sacrament, but also by the stirring music. And for those of you who obviously don't know me, I'm one of the people that's humming and singing the music when I leave the church doors, and then I sing vocally in the car when it's locked. And then on Monday morning when I'm getting ready for work, I sing the music again. And as a young man, I sang in church choirs, and I still sing as a baritone in the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington. As one of my choral masters told me when I was in university, that we don't hum the sermons, Randy, we hum the music. And of course, we all know that the repertoire here of music, not only in our services, but in our concerts, are just stellar. So after almost a year of online worship, I contacted the Cathedral and was put in touch with Dana Corsello, and we still met by Zoom because we were still doing virtual work. And after we started in-person worship here, I became interested in becoming an Episcopalian. And in this May, in front of Mary Ann Buddy, our bishop, I did in fact become an Episcopalian. About 13 months ago, I lost my father to a long battle with dementia. And I don't know about all of you, but when you lose both parents, I felt a bit like an orphan. And for about 6 months, I thought about what my parents gave me as lessons to live life by. And I think both of my parents were not overtly religious people, but I came to realize that they had a very deep and abiding faith. And I think one of the treasures that I take with me from their life is that I'm here today in part because of them. But I also remember a couple of corny things that my father used to tell us when we were growing up as kids at the dinner table. And I can remember he would talk about the golden rule, but one of the things I really detested is when I said something underhanded about another kid, he would say, "You know, Frank, if you can't say anything nice about somebody, you shouldn't say anything at all." But when I was in medical school and I was studying and growing into being a young man, he would often say to me, "You know, to whom much is given, much will be required of you." In closing, as we prepare ourselves to make a pledge to this cathedral congregation, I consider one of the many blessings that I have been afforded in life from God, calling this cathedral parish my church home. But no matter how big or small, or how many or how few blessings that any of you may have as you consider your congregation pledge this year, know that a pledge, no matter how big or how small, is critical for the work of faith. And we heard last week in James' epistle that opened this Be campaign that faith without works is dead. And the work of faith is one aspect of us as members of this congregation, to welcome the migrant, the widow, the orphan, the ostracized, and people like me who are seeking a church home. And also, as Randy has indicated over many times I've been here, the nature of maintaining a beautiful edifice like this, not only for the year upcoming, but for people in need in future years that are not known to any of us, but to God alone. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Frank.